Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Can everyone? Is the volume okay?
Oh, it's sound very good.
Okay, good, awesome. Well, we have a lot to chat about today, and I always would like to hear at the top about the tech update. So, Rao, is that you?
Yes, I'll be doing
Awesome.
that.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. So we're in Sprint 35, just started this week. As far as the release is concerned, the current release is 0911. But in this sprint, we may do a little bit of an early release, and I'll speak to that here in the next few points. So the main focus for Sprint 35 is cost accounting. There's a lot of plumbing that needs to be done, as well as the full functionality on top of the plumbing. So that's one of the main focuses for the current sprint. The other one is the Genesis Vault creation ceremony. Code for that is complete. Right now it's in testing. So when we have that all tested out, we will probably do the next release before the end of this sprint, is kind of what our current thinking is. Then the other thing that we're working on, we noticed that the proposals are taking a long time, so we're investigating the causes, and that also has been worked on to some degree, and we're testing that also. So that's, and there is still probably some more work in progress over there. The other thing we have started doing is we have started emphasis on testing the code quite a bit. We are creating more test environments so that the different developer teams can test in parallel as they generate things, as well as we have enabled the community testing with the sandbox testnet. So there is a lot of, because of the increased testing, we expect that there will be a lot of bugs and or optimizations we'll find out. And that's going to be the other part, or some of the work of the current sprint. So that's overall where we are and what we're focusing on. And I can just quickly go through what each of the teams is focusing on. The Node team is looking into the long proposed times, like I mentioned earlier. And the consensus team is completing the foundation needed for bonding and unbonding in Rolang, and also the modifying Casper to use internal messages instead of protobufs. Then the other thing that's going on is to support randomness in the validator protocol. So there are a few different pieces that need to be done for that, and that's the work that the consensus team is doing. One of the optimizations that I mentioned earlier is in the RSpace arena. There is a tuple space bloat currently, so we're investigating that, and where we are right now is that we have put in the tracing to be able to collect the statistics, to be able to say, okay, look, at what point are we getting this, and what are the pieces that are causing this? That's one of the main things that the RSpace team is focusing on. And some changes needed in the RSpace to correct the long proposed times is the other one. Again, there we have, the code is complete, but we're first doing the testing through a parallel branch. And then when that all checks out, we will kind of merge it into the main branch and do more testing. That's the situation there with the RSpace. And then implementation of merging contract calls is the other one. And what that would do is, that's one of the pieces needed to support the new peak feature that was done in Casper. So that's the content of work in the RSpace area. And the Rolang team is going to be focusing on processing a Genesis block that includes rock balances. That again, we're moving into testing, hopefully end of the day today. And we'll take it from there to see how much work is needed and merge it into the next release. Then unforgeable name-based Rev Vault. This actually has been completed, and this is a typo here. So you should be able to control Rev from smart contracts when we release this feature in the next release. The SRE team, like I said earlier, there's a lot of increased testing, so there is quite a bit of work being done, the SRE team, to make sure that we have the optimal number of test environments, both from the developer standpoint as well as from the community perspective, and that we have the tooling necessary to collect information from all of that. And then again, the process to work with the development team to make sure that we're able to identify, address the issues that come out of that testing. So that's what's going on in there. And one of the things we're trying to do there also is the white block resources that we have. We're trying to get to a point of maximal utilization of that, those resources, and we have conversations or planned meetings and work going on with them. And the last one, this is, we started exploring the technical options for ROC to Rev conversion. Basically, how do we make it usable to an end user once they have, first of all, how does the end user convert their ROC to Rev? And how do we make it usable for the end user once they have the Rev to be able to do that? So the role of exchanges, the state of the wallet code, what the different options are there, the command line based methodology. So for the different kinds of users, how do we make it available in a manner that's both easy to use and secure? So that's what we're focusing on over there. So we're starting conversations around that, and we'll have some plans laid out in the next week or two for that. So as far as the test net, we have, there was an issue that was coming up off and on, and that has been addressed. And I think you heard from Chris last time that basically there was not a smoking gun we were able to find. It has been unstable a little bit, and we certainly are focusing on investigating those issues. One thing with the testnet code is that the code in there is about, I think, a couple of weeks old now, and we will be refreshing that whenever we have the next release. And hopefully that'll address some of the issues. But we're certainly looking at keeping the testnet up and running. It is available now. And what we're doing is that if any node fails, then we're kind of collecting the information from it and then restarting after a while. So that's kind of where that is. Sandbox testnet has been up and has been used by the community. Right now, it's also being shared by the developers, and we're trying to move to an environment where the developers have enough networks of their own so that the sandbox would be mostly available to the community with an occasional access to the developers. And I think the security audits part was covered last week. We're just going to start an iterative, incremental, or preliminary audit of each of those modules that we think are ready for audit. And then there will be, at the end, there will be a full formal audit of the system. I think that's kind of where that is. As far as testnet 2, I think the main thing we're waiting to finish is this Genesis Vault ceremony testing that it's already in testing. So we're trying to complete that. Greg, did you want to add anything more to that, or?
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, I really want to congratulate the team. They pulled out all the stops to get this feature across the finish line, yeah, it was a lot of good technical discussion and dialogue, a lot of excellent forensic analysis of what the issues were, and the team really sort of worked smart in the sense that when someone did not sort of know a particular area, they tapped someone who did and really got the job done. So the sorry, I was getting pinged about the quarterly reports, which are almost done as well. The you know, a lot of the issues had to do with sort of memory access. It was really it's kind of a queuing theory issue related to memory access. We were holding on to some pointers in a map that was ending up in Java. You know, you have the generational garbage collection. So the map was ending up, because it was stable, in old space, and you know, the garbage, and when garbage collection is triggered, when you reach a really high threshold of memory in old space, it's a full stop the world, stop all computations, and run GC. But because the map was stable and being utilized, it would run the garbage collection, not recover anything, and panic and go, oh, we're almost out of memory, we better stop the world and run garbage collection and try to recover something. And so it was in a loop, doing that kind of thing. Thanks to Pavel for finding that particular issue. Once that was resolved, where GC wasn't spinning its wheels, it was nice to see the numbers come way down, from taking 72 hours to taking less than an hour, to get the kinds of wallets creation numbers that are matching expectations with respect to existing rock holders. So I was very pleased and looking forward to rolling out this feature this week, which will then unlock testnet 2 and make the rest of that tranche, the expanded second tranche, available to members to purchase. So yeah, looking forward to moving into testnet 2, and with any luck, have testnet 3 not too far beyond that. So thanks again for the updates, and I just wanted to check and see if anyone has any questions about the technical update before we move on. Okay. Thank you, Rao. I really appreciate it. That was a great presentation, and it was nice and detailed, and hopefully people enjoyed the technical update. Moving on, then, the next update is that the board had a meeting yesterday. There were 2 resolutions that were voted on. The minutes will be out shortly, but the 2 resolutions. One was, there was a proposal from a number of Chinese community members to support development of the Chinese community. So that went through. There's a very, very active Chinese community, and the board sort of emphasized that that support should include the expansion development of that community should include more dApp developers and people who are interested in sort of the whys and wherefores of RChain, and de-emphasize any sort of speculation commentary. So we're very very happy that that was accepted by the folks who are running the promotional development effort, and so that was approved. And any questions about that before moving on to the other resolution? Excellent. We have a talkative group today. So the other resolution that was put forward and voted on was the governance charter. So the governance charter was approved, but there were some provisions. There's some language that needs to be cleaned up with respect to roles around the nominating committee and the governance committee. Steve Ross Talbot made some detailed commentary there. And there's sort of additional tasks that we want to put to the governance committee immediately. So in regards to the connection with the governance committee, we need them to sort of get engaged around the nomination of board members. There's 19 days or 18 days now left to the deadline of by which people who would seek board positions have to get their nominations into the committee. I think it's the process laid out in the bylaws is to email nom-cmte@gov.rchain.coop with the stated intent to nominate a particular candidate. You can check, check the bylaws to make certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the procedure. And if you want to be a board member, then there's a very short deadline. So the board hopes that the governance committee will jump on this and put forward, potentially even put forward a proposal to extend the deadline, so that there's a little bit more time. Additionally, the governance committee will really need to jump on the procedures for evaluating those nominations, and also needs to jump on the any items of business, how those are formulated and submitted for the general members meeting in October, which is rapidly approaching us. So yeah, so the governance committee really has a lot on their plate, and the board is looking forward to those actions and will be responsive. Any questions about that? There was a lot of other discussion at the board meeting, but those were the two items of action from the board. So any discussion about either of those? Any questions? Going once? Twice? All right. Moving right along, we have a report from Ledger Pro, who is the third party that is handling the reconciliation of the books, and that we should have the completed Q1 and Q2 reports available by tomorrow morning. So if they are able to meet their self-imposed deadline, then we will have the Q1, Q2 reports out this week. So it's a good week for RChain, and in that sense that we're able to catch up on the finances and get to testnet 2. So that's a two pretty important milestones crossed. Any questions about that? Awesome. Are there any questions or issues that people want to talk about? If not, we can yield the time back. Fantastic. Silence is golden.
Looking good.
Yeah, good, great. Okay, folks. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad.